what we've done is in order to keep this orderly, everyone has received a position in order to ask questions, and the person who's going to be first is Sal. So Sal, why don't you introduce yourself and ask your question to whomever you want.
Okay, sure. My name is Sal Schifano. I'm a 30-year resident of Wayne, and I've been retired, I guess, since the around 2005, 2006. So enjoying retired life. One thing I'm not enjoying, though, is the high property taxes. And if you go around town, that certainly is a hot button issue for most Wayne residents. And as a retiree, obviously I know a lot of retirees around, in fact, a lot of people that I've worked with, and they're basically being forced out of the town because of the high property taxes. And we're just concerned about that continual rise in property taxes and how it's forcing people out of Wayne, and wondering what you can do about that.
All right, well, I think first thing is to take a look at some surrounding communities. One of the communities that is very close to Wayne in terms of demographics and its business environment is Clifton. Both Wayne and Clifton took a real hit in 2007, 2008, and that's nobody's fault. That was the economy around the world. But if you look at Clifton, they have come back with a vengeance. They lost their biggest property tax payer, which was Hoffman LaRoche. They have already replaced Hoffman LaRoche with the Hackensack Hospital and Seton Hall, putting a medical school there. And they have plans for the other pieces of the property. That didn't happen by accident. All right, they have actively gone out and tried to bring in professional businesses. Now in Wayne, we've done well with bringing in Quick Checks. Nothing wrong with Quick Checks. All right, I'm all for that. But first of all, we spend an awful lot of time and money educating our kids in Wayne. All right, they come out from one of the best school systems. They go to first-class universities like William Patterson College. All right, and then they've got to move away. All right, we don't have the professional jobs to keep them here. And yet we have the old GAF complex. We have many, many areas in town. So the first thing I want to do is go out after good professional businesses. High-tech, biotech, those businesses are out there, and Wayne has got a great story to tell. With a wonderful community, great access to highways, great hospitals, university system. And I'll give you one example. Amazon recently announced that they want to have a second headquarters. And they've opened up that process to everyone. I asked at a council meeting recently, what are they doing about that? What does their bid look like? And all you could do is hear crickets. I'm not even sure if they know about it. Now, one could argue Wayne may not get that, but if we don't try to bring these businesses in, all right, if we just sit back and wait for the next Quick Check,
Sure.
all right, and economic development is the best way to stabilize taxes. The only alternative is what the current administration has done. All right, they've doubled our taxes in the last 8 years. All right, all of a sudden, the year before the mayoralty, taxes are flat. Well, you know how they did it? They can drastically reduce the workforce in town, which means they've drastically reduced our services, right? Because that's the only other way to reduce taxes. So I'm pro-growth, all right? Not just pro-growth, but I want to bring in good professional companies, the companies of the future, all right, for our kids to not just have good ratables, but bring in good jobs. So
I really appreciate that. As a retiree since 2008, I remember one hamburger was $1.99 a pound. That's when I retired. And now it has jumped tremendously, as has everybody's food bill in Wayne. I've gone down to pay my taxes, and I see all these senior citizens lined up, and they're looking grim as they're paying their taxes. I'm really excited about Ray's ideas to strengthen our community and strengthen the tax base.
Susan just reminded me of something. For those, and you had asked about senior citizens. of whom I am one. And let me just go off on a tangent, because I think people should get to know us a little bit as people. But when you talked about $1.99 for a hamburger, I can remember the first television set that we got. It was just, we went nuts over it. It was one of those big cabinets with the 9-inch black and white screen. And then the next big deal for us is we got color TV. All right, that was huge. And the thing I'll remember the most is the first time we got a remote for the TV. And I don't know how many people had this, but the remote for our TV, you could lay in bed, and there was a tube, all right, with a bulb on the end, all right, and while you laid there, you could squeeze the bulb, and it would run from one station to the other. So I mean, I'm with you in terms of really being sensitive to seniors. And let me say one last thing about it. The mayor does bring up his property taxes. I think the mayor pays $13,000, $14,000, $15,000 a year. He's in the prime of his earning years. All right, and when you're making, I don't know what the mayor makes, but if you're in your prime, you have a two-person working household, you're making $150,000 a year. That $15,000 is very, very different, right, than a person who is now retired, who might have a pension, might not have a pension, and has Social Security. All right, so we've got to be particularly careful about our seniors. All right, and I think we'll be talking later. I think I have some other ideas to help seniors bring their taxes down.